Lovely day to you as you join us here for another exciting package on the Nigerian Television Authority program, The Weekend Deal. Now, one thing we do here is to teach, entertain, and of course get all of us relaxed. That's talking about learning. And learning is one thing that goes on every day of every person's life. Right from your mother's womb, you're learning. You come out, you are learning. Now, the learning can actually sometimes be negative. It depends on how we, follow it up. Technology has actually come in to help us learn even more. One of such things that happen within the world of technology is social media. It's a blessing, it's a curse. It depends on the side of coin you want to stand on. Children are daily, being exposed to these things. What are the consequences? Are they properly being monitored? Are they picking the positive rather than the negative? It's all of that we'll be focusing on today's edition of Weekend Deal. And I know that Suleiman, Abdul is your son. Has he started pressing your phone?
Of course, you will always struggle for the phone. I don't know what he's looking for, but of course, the cartoon, the videos and all of that. But as parents, you have to do the needful in order to protect your words from, having too much access. And because these days, when I was growing up, it was more about playing with the wheel tire, running around town and all of that. But today, children have advanced, technology has advanced, and then, with technology, really, Elizabeth, it's supposed to make a lot of things easier, and which of course it is. It has really made things easier, but it has complicated parenting for a lot of people.
Last week, Suleiman, you were on set last week, and I know that between you and Talma, you visited Nigeria, moved around, and a whole lot was exposed around the girl child especially, abuse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most especially to do with the, trending stories to do with killings from different schools, and recently that of Hanifa from Kano State. You talk about the Karen here in Abuja, the Sylvester case in Lagos. So it's one too many, really, Elizabeth.
Yes. Actually, Ijoma Ona took her time within the week to do a recap of all of that, just to buttress the importance of protecting the child. School is good, but then when it becomes a place to kill, to bully, it's no longer what it should be. Let's join Ijoma for this special report.
Last week on the program, we brought you reports from Lagos, Kano, and here in Abuja on the events surrounding the deaths of 3 Nigerian school children whose circumstances of death evoked massive emotion and actions from Nigerians. Here are some of the developments from the incidents. We start from Kano State, where 5-year-old Hanifa of Noble Kids Academy in Nasarawa local government area of the state was killed with a rat poison and buried in a shallow grave by her abductors, led by her teacher, Mr. Abdul Malik Mohammed Tanko, after collecting a ransom of 6 million naira. A magistrate court in Kano, presided over by Senior Magistrate Mohammed Jibril, has remanded and charged Mr. Tanko and his accomplices, Hashim Ishaku and Fatima Jibril, over criminal conspiracy, kidnap, confinement and culpable homicide, which is contrary to Section 97, 274, 277 and 221 of the Penal Code. Also, the wife of the self-confessed kidnapper and killer, Jamila Abdulmalik Tanko, has also been arraigned and detained before Kano State Chief Magistrate Court on a count charge of alleged concealing of a kidnapped victim for further hearing on the matter. The case against the main suspect has been transferred to Kano State High Court on Thursday, the 3rd of February 2022, following a successful filing of a fresh charge before the higher court. The suspects are still in custody until the 9th of February 2022 for further hearing. Meanwhile, the State Ministry of Education has shut down the said school and is reviewing its policies on licensing and operations of private schools in the state. We go from Kano to Lagos State, where the Lagos State government had earlier advised the police to release those held in their custody over the death of Sylvester Oromoni Jr., a 12-year-old student of Dowen College, Lekki, Lagos State, who was allegedly beaten and brutalized by some members of a cult group who he identified before his death as students of the college for refusing to join the fraternity, a claim the school administration has refuted. The family's lawyer and human rights activist, Femi Falana, had written to the chief coroner of Lagos State requesting an investigation into the boy's death. 2 autopsy reports were released, while a private investigation indicted the school and her 5 students. The other report, however, exonerated the students and 5 employees of Dowen College of any complicity in the death of the 12-year-old. Meanwhile, the government has ordered for the indefinite closure of the school and has directed the college to fix administrative lapses and review their boarding school policy in the face of recent changes. In a more recent development, a medical doctor, Ahoho Henry Owojede, has told the Lagos court under cross-examination that the late Sylvester Jr. was not treated at any hospital after his arrival in Warri. The doctor, who was giving evidence before the magistrate court, confirmed that he treated the deceased at home from November 26th to November 30th, 2021, before he died. Finally, we are still monitoring developments on the death of Karen Harpoch Akbaga, a 14-year-old boarding student of Premier Academy Lugbe, Abuja, whose cause of death on the 22nd of June 2021 is yet to be established. Meanwhile, the school has denied any complicity in the alleged sexual abuse, but has gone further to file a suit against the leader of the coalition of gender-based violence responders, Mr. Lemi Uhegbe, at the Abuja High Court, asking for 500 million naira as damages. In the said suit, the school is asking the court to bar Mr. Uhegbe from making further public statements with regards to the alleged rape. The action of the school was a sequel to the speech Mr. Uhegbe delivered at the Nigeria Bar Association Abuja branch 2021 Law Week, where he was said to have invited lawyers to join the coalition in fishing out the person who raped the deceased minor. Consequently, the House of Representatives ordered the Inspector General of Police to conduct a DNA test for all the male staff of the school and match their DNAs with the dead spermatozoa found in Karen's urine. In the meantime, there is an ongoing investigation by the Force Gender Unit of the Nigerian Police to unravel the real cause of death and bring justice to Karen.
Well, there you have it with updates on what we discussed last weekend. And Elizabeth, sometimes I just wonder about how serious we are, in fishing out the perpetrators of these heinous actions, most especially that of Abuja and Lagos, talking about Karen and Sylvester. At least we know what happened to Hanifa.
All of them, really, all of them. Because the thing is, I was listening to that particular report and I kept thinking, I have children. It could happen to any of them. You have children. It could happen to any of our children. And the people doing this are also people's children. I mean, how are parents bringing up their children so much so that they can take lives? It's difficult for me. It's difficult for me to, as much as even kill. I can't even start where you kill a chicken.
But Elizabeth, the good thing is we would definitely keep our eyes on the development, of some of these stories. We must ensure that we get to the bottom of it, that the families and the victims get justice.
And for those who are still planning to do something real bad, just know that from henceforth, NTA's eyes, the cameras are watching you, and we intend to expose you completely. But earlier we mentioned parents. And we also said today we'll be looking at social media. The fact is, some of these things that happen, we also pick up from stories from the social media. Today we intend to look at it full time. But I know Sule took time to give us a backgrounder to put us in the right mood to understand what we intend to discuss today. Let's see it.
Stories of social media predators have continually served as cautionary tales for children and adolescents who are the largest users of social media. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat are most popular among today's youth for entertainment and communication and have grown exponentially in recent years. For this reason, it is important that parents become aware of the nature of social media sites, given that not all of them are healthy environments for children and adolescents. Social media does have its benefits, enhancing communication, social connection, and even technical skills. Social media sites such as Facebook offer multiple daily opportunities for connecting with friends, classmates, and people with shared interests. During the last 5 years, the number of pre-adolescents and adolescents using such sites have increased dramatically. According to a recent poll, 22% of teenagers log on to their favorite social media site for more than 10 times a day, and more than half of adolescents log on to a social media site more than once a day. 75% of teenagers now own cell phones, and 25% use them for social media. 54% use them for texting, and 24% use them for instant messaging. Thus, a large part of this generation's social and emotional development is occurring while on the internet and on cell phones. One of the most common risks to social media use is cyberbullying, that is, deliberately using digital media to communicate false, embarrassing, or hostile information about another person. Online, one's safety can be compromised by harassment, predators, sexting, and exposure to inappropriate content. Unchecked, this risk can cause profound psychological outcomes including depression, anxiety, severe isolation, and tragically, suicide. It is important that parents evaluate the site on which their child wishes to participate to be sure that the site is appropriate for that child's age. What is the appropriate age for children to start using a mobile phone with internet access? How much space should parents give their words online? Should social media be regulated to protect the young ones? Or should we just focus on the positives since it outweighs the negative? Stay with us today on Weekend Deal as we interrogate the impact of social media on children's development. Of course, we're going to unravel most of this as we have our guests join us much later on the show. And of course, you can participate on this program as well, by sharing your thought with us, asking questions, and of course, we get to share all of that with our viewers. And Elizabeth,
I know that a lot of times what people consume, generally, society has a lot of influence in it. And children particularly, that's why they say nature and nurture. We're actually a product of our society. NTA Ibadan is going to give us a beautiful report on the influence of society in what we consume.
The level of acceptance and usage of social media is daily increasing among the young and old. It cuts across all ethnic groups globally. it has become a necessary daily activity. It's typically used for social interaction and access to news and information. It is a valuable communication tool with others locally and worldwide, as well as being used to share, create, and spread trending issues and content. It is true the social media has made life easier for humanity. Every information is rightly available. This technological advancement has created a well-established trend in communicating and exchanging content of all kinds among the children through their interaction on social sites like Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
Social media basically refers to all the online applications that are used for communication. So think about how we make phone calls and send text messages. When we do that using the internet, that's social media, right? When you communicate with other people using the internet, that's social media. So think about Facebook, for instance, or Twitter, or Instagram, or especially TikTok now, which is like the rave of the moment. That's essentially social media. You communicating with other people using the internet as a platform.
Social media has revolutionized the society compared with the olden days. Today, it has enabled us to get in touch with one another. The aim of social media is to enable the children to improve the academic performance, to be able to understand very well and so on. That is what it's meant for.
However, social media has its demerits. Statistics show that children younger than 11 years old who get access to this uncontrolled social media are most likely exposed to problematic digital behavior, which eventually results into unproductive acts.
The influence social media is having on them these days has become so negative. It has so much reduced the morals in our children. It has so much reduced the concentration on the educational purview. It has so much reduced the educational standard of the society, and it is not good for our society, because these children are supposed to be leaders of tomorrow, and whatever we build in them while they were teenagers is what the society will reap at the end of the day when they become adults.
Teenagers open Instagram and then they see other kids and other people looking perfect and everybody looking fine, right? But people use filters, right? Everybody's life is perfect on social media. People rarely talk about like their struggles on social media. Everybody's life is filtered on social media, and they begin to think that they are probably the only ones who are suffering in this world. They're probably the only ones who are struggling with maybe a health condition, struggling with an abusive parent. But everybody has these issues. It's just that we select the things that we want to share on social media. And so yes, social media can put pressure, undue pressure, on very young people. Cyberbullying can be persistent and recurrent. On social media, they can stay on your case literally all through the day. If somebody really has your time and the person wants to bully you, the person can bombard your phone with SMSs, with nude pictures, until you block the person, right? And if you block that person, the person can take another phone. When possessed people have your time, they will look for every means, every avenue to frustrate your life.
All these negative issues that are ascribed to unmonitored and excessive indulgence of children on social media can be rightly corrected if all concerned and related quarters stands firm in discharging their civic responsibilities, which in return will make children and younger people become more productive and better citizens in this digital age.
Colonialism affected us very, very adversely, because not only we are not talking of physical slavery now, we are talking of mental slavery, which is worse than physical slavery. So the parents themselves, unless they have liberated themselves, they themselves have regenerated. They have very little to tell their children, because external forces that are coming from outside, they are too powerful. Twitter, Google, Instagram, this, that, they are too powerful. we need internal regeneration. First of all, nobody from outside can save us.
It's necessary at times to check the telephone of these children to see that they are not misled, that they don't use it for negative purposes, they should use it for positive purposes. That's on the part of the children. Then furthermore, it's unfortunate we have lost our moral values. In those days where parents preach morality, they should be able to inculcate sound morals if you are from a very good home and you have very sound morals. Definitely, the negative aspect of social media will be minimal.
So we need a lot of orientation, and I think the government can do that in terms of policy formulation, ensuring that those policies are implemented, implementation of policies, and just general awareness. I think the government can help in those areas.
To ensure a more mentally balanced and productive society devoid of all criminal and social vices, where technological advancements can be enhanced as a veritable tool for capacity building in the nation, parents, guardians, government, and the society as a whole should put all hands on deck in checking what children consume on social media.
Well, obviously, we have a whole lot to do. And then, Elizabeth, according to a research recently carried out by the NCC, that about 85% of, children in the urban centers from ages 11 to 16 actually, engage the internet, via maybe accessing videos or chatting online. And then there's this growing concern about this other use of the technology, because the fact that this addiction is really creeping in the sense that instead of them to have time for their daily activities, they will spend more time, over 10 hours on the internet.
What you're saying, I'll quickly give you an answer to it. But I'll do it with the voice of Thelma, because she'll be looking at how involved are parents in monitoring what their children do with their phones.
Children and teenagers explore social media to have fun, make and maintain friendships through shared interest, as well as study and learn. And this is usually an extension of their offline and face-to-face interactions.
In those days, we need to get to a library or buy books when we're in school, to be able to put things together. Just tell them anything now. On the internet, they get everything. The onus is on us to look at the better part of it and harness it.
Parents and guardians are primary gatekeepers and managers for children, and they are supposed to be the biggest influence on teenagers' understanding of appropriate and inappropriate online and digital behavior.
I've interacted with so many young people, and I discovered that the disconnect is because their parents do not interact with them. Many parents give instructions and they try to bring correction on the children. You interact with the children, educate them. Correction is later part of education. You must have told them, showed them things to do, how it is done, when they are not doing it rightly, before you can correct. When you interact with them at their level, they will open up for you. My son will call me, will say, "Guy, how far?" Yes, then they will flow. And there is just nothing he can't tell me.
As with almost everything in life, social media has its downsides, and parents should be able to weigh appropriate social media usage for their wards, as well as detail the gains and threats to discipline and responsibility.
Hi, Thelma, what's up?
I'm fine.
I'm fine. Why are you not on Facebook yesterday? What happened?
My mom said if she catch me on social media, she will harm this my phone. And I don't want that though.
Don't shut it down, because whatever you want to hide from the children is what the children are inquisitive to know about. So all you need to do is to let them know the negative side of it and the positive side of it, and updating them. We must know as parents that children learn much more by observation than by instruction and correction. So if they observe you as a parent that you are using the social media for the negative, then they will flow, along.
There's no gainsaying that the 21st century child or teen is surrounded by advanced technologies and information which can propel them to extraordinary highs or pull them to devastating lows.
You don't raise them by assumption. You speak to them, you interact with them. There are times where dialogue is necessary. But when there is that disconnect, then the children will look for where to find a role model. If there is bond between children and parents, then once they have a pressure anywhere, they will come discuss it. That this is what I saw. What do you think about this?
Adults and parents should be responsive to the silent and spoken communication needs of their wards and children and take charge of their future by being realistic and practical in their approach about the evolving trends on social media and life in general.
All right, thank you, Thelma. And this is the right time to introduce our guest to you to further discuss the issue of social media impact on children's development. Join me to welcome Dr. Mariam Jumai Bello Yasin. She is the proprietress of Hamizak Montessori Academic Group of Schools, and she has so many titles here. Allow me to take a few of them. Representative of West African Women International Transport Workers, London. She is also the Yalaje of Professional Farmers and Traders Association in Nigeria, the Sansamin Bukum in Zamfara State of Nigeria, the Yeye Basharon of Ofai Kingdom. You have so many, so many titles, and then that shows how important role you have been playing
Suleiman,
in
you
the
forgot
society.
a very important title. She's a wife and mother, and she's a role model for all the young ladies as well.
Definitely, because the gender issue has always been something she's passionate about. Welcome to our studio. Talk to us about your perception. Would you say it's good, bad, or the middle? Should we even be having that conversation?
Well, thank you very much for this question. It's long due, overdue rather. Well, this social media, when it came, we felt it was going to broaden the scope of our knowledge, and it's going to impact positively on our children in terms of their research on education and some other things.
And it
Since
is.
the world is global, there are changes coming in, and it's going to take over some of the jobs that we give to people to work, because it's a fast technology for communication. It allows you to communicate fastly than writing letters in those days and some other things like that. But along the line, we are not using it well the way it should be done. We have allowed it to encroach into our children and impact negative effect on them.
Your own thoughts now, when is the right age for children to begin to own a phone? I mean, I've seen a 6-year-old. Is it in order?
You try to check and limit the page they could check. Even this other what do we call this one that children are always used to watching? The cartoon.
The cartoon?
Yes. This cartoon that they watch, there are some cartoons that did not teach them a very good moral value. It doesn't even allow them to listen in the class. They don't concentrate. They don't care. They are so isolated. Most of them glue themselves on watching films, not academic, that we encourage and develop their skills.
Now, you talked about, having limitation to what the children can access, the kind of phone that should be given to a child. But you own a school, and in your school, let's look at what you do. What mechanism have you put in place to ensuring that you check the excess of this social media engagement, knowing fully that we have a whole lot, there are a lot of schools in the country. Maybe we can learn from your experience.
That's good. My school, you don't come with phone. And if you must come, we will collect it and keep. Because we give them too much assignment. Parents are even complaining. We know why. Because we don't want them to have extra time to go into various types of activities that we undermine the family or the country.
As in your own case, what are the rules for the teachers? Because what the children learn from what they hear and what they see. So what are the rules for your teachers?
Teachers don't go into my class with phones. They are really concentrating on you, and the concentration is totally for you. So nothing happens. The children goes back home, they will not be able to know what you have taught them.
Well,
so we don't allow that.
Some will tell you that children have never been good listeners, but they learn by doing, because whatever you do, they quickly learn. It's a faster way for them to learn. But as we further interrogate the issue of the impact of social media on children, let's go to NTA Kaduna and take their report. After that, the conversation continues.
The world is a global village, and social media has become an easy way to communicate, conduct business transactions, and socialize with friends and families, regardless of their age. Social media has changed the way they interact and socialize. It is a double-edged sword with both negative and positive impact.
Generally, what it does is it gives you room to express your view or opinion regarding a topic. And apart from connecting people, it entertains individuals. It allows one to be able to connect with other forums of scholars, maybe people that you ordinarily can't meet them physically, but through social media you can actually connect with them. This ICT holistically had made the world to be global. It's easy to reach out to another person. But the positive impact it has done on the young minds is, it depends on what you allow. What I blame is we need to put control over the social medias, platforms our kids get exposed to. Advantage that I can rule out is in educational aspect, from demonstrative aspect down to article writing, for example. Through social media, you get to educate yourself more. And these kids, as they grow up and they are exposed to the right social channel, they get to have advanced skills on the topic. And when you hear them talk, you know definitely that there is a positive impact that they have achieved through the social media channels they've been exposed to.
What role should parents play when it comes to the relationship between their children and social media?
It depends from the home, because somebody like me, I don't allow my children to handle any handset that they can have access to, either Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, the Instagram, TikTok. I don't, until when they are at the university, because the teachers, they will not have time to be monitoring them all the time. And that is why even the schools, they stop students from using handsets. Any form of handset, they stop you. But if your parents want to talk to you, they can call the teacher or the principal. Some schools have that. So you see, it is difficult, but then it is our responsibility. Start it from your home. Stop them. Tell them why they're supposed to not to use it. They can only use phone that they can call or receive. And even in calling, it is not in all cases that they must call. So you need to train your child. Charity, they say, begins from the house. Teachers cannot do everything, but we need to monitor them seriously and prevent them from having access to some of these handsets that have all these facilities that can give them information that is negative.
Social media is not entirely bad for children because it exposes them to several aspects of life. However, parents and guardians are expected to guide and monitor its use by their words.
All right, That was a lovely one from Kaduna, and we still have in the house Dr. Miriam Jumai Bello Yashin with us. And I know that the last person that just talked said we need to monitor seriously. And of course, social media is not always on the negative. We'll still get back to something you were saying behind the camera, but I'd like to find out, how have you, as the proprietors of a school, Hamizak Montessori Academy group of schools, been able to harness the positivity, embedded in the social media for the growth of your children in the school?
Technology is really assisting us. It enhances the education of the children. It makes them even better in mathematics and how to use their computer. They'll be computer literate. It has its own very good ways. But it's just that it is being bastardized because of our negligence. It's not that it's not necessary. It's quite necessary. Because you have to be behind if you are not moving with the train. So you cannot say you want to be aloof when everybody is moving faster. So in our school, there are a lot of things that we have put in place to encourage children in this new technology.
I'd like to know, are your teachers having proper education as well as to what they post online, even when they are not in school?
What we do, we make sure that once you get employed in my school, we give you an orientation onto the kind of dress you dress. Because if you dress shabbily, you are posing a negative information to the children. You don't talk carelessly, and you don't speak broken English or even vernacular once you are around, because you will affect the diction of these children. And God will not forgive you, because these children are young ones. You are here to show them good example. So definitely, our teachers are very, very careful. We even have uniform to avoid nudie dress or any kind of wearing something that is funny. We have shirt, long sleeve shirt with a tie, and we have trouser.
Mental health has brought about anxiety, it has brought about depression, it has brought about even suicidal thoughts. So let's quickly take this report that borders on the impact of social media on children vis-a-vis mental health by Ayuba.
The internet and social media in general is a rapidly evolving platform for the people to communicate with each other, express themselves, and share content of all kinds. But it has given rise to a new paradigm that drives technology and business while changing the way people interact.
Social media has profoundly had an impact on children and teenagers, and some has been positive and some has been negative. So for the positive advantages of social media, kids are able to connect better with their friends, be part of online platforms that exposes them to being digitally competent in today's digital age. They're able to learn more because you have Google search and other such platforms that teach you a lot about almost any topic. You have a connection between millions and millions of websites, and so you can learn just about anything. It makes learning more interactive and less rigid, as you would find in the structure of a classroom.
As the case is with everything in life, with the advantages also come the disadvantages.
But on the other side, there's cyberbullying. You could predispose children to having suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety. It causes them to, at times, if it's used excessively, to be overstimulated and reduces their focus and attention. And so they may develop attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, self-harm. So these are some of the negative aspects of the internet. They may be overexposed. They may be exposed to inappropriate and wrong content. Their security might be breached. They may be targeted for advertisements that are directly put there for children to consume. And so there's this overexposure to negative people, and there might be negative consequences as a result of internet. So it's both positive and negative. And there's studies that support either point of view. But I think that the gist is to achieve balance.
Quite a large percentage of people would say that the internet has been advantageous, especially during the worldwide lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic, where most people relied solely on it to interact. And inevitably, it got introduced to a much younger audience as a primary educational tool. The harsh reality of the modern Nigerian family structure is that most parents are so busy with work that in an attempt to provide for the family, they have left the delicate task of raising their children in the hands of this digital surrogate.
And you really have to assess your own child apart from, the age stipulation. Most social medias have an age of at least 13 before a child can be allowed, like on Facebook. But you have to assess your child's level of emotional and social maturity. Some children are not mature enough at 13. They're not able to regulate their emotions. They're not able to form healthy networks, and they still need a lot of support. So, you have to monitor, what impact social media is having on your child at home. Safety is the primary issue. So another thing is your child oversharing. A lot of children are not able to regulate themselves emotionally, and they let everything out. Even your debit card number, your credit card number, your address, your phone number. These are things that should not be put out there on social media. Privacy settings should be there. You have a lot of apps that block unauthorized websites that are not healthy for your children, so you can directly program those healthy sites. And you need to have a discussion with your children about you also being their friend.
The only thing constant is change. And as this change evolves, so shall we, until a balance is achieved. The benefit of the children, the parents, and the society as a whole.
All right, mental effects of the social media on children. And we still have Dr. Jumai Bello here with us. I'd like us to address from the perspective of teachers, how do we begin, to rebuff the minds of our children, to clean it up, to understand that contentment is very important. It's key, because that's what actually makes people want to do the other things other people are doing.
It reflects or produce bad and negative effect on children, teachers, everybody, because you think it is true. You start struggling to go into Yahoo or do many things. So what we do is, like I said earlier when I came in, you asked me about what are the methods we followed. On our assembly, we make sure that they should understand that it's not everything they see on the internet or on the Facebook or wherever is real. Some of them are make-believe. They should not be carried away by such kind of thing. And we bring a lot of examples to them on the assembly before they go in, because all of them are in the same place. We don't need to go to various classes to talk to them on that. So this has been the trend. We've been making sure that we educate them very well, and to disabuse their mind that good work, honesty, even the motto of our school is discipline, integrity, and honesty. That is what is in our flyer, what is in our logo, and what is in wherever we use to teach them. We try to make them believe that if you work hard, you will reap the fruits in a very good way. Forget about saying some people work, they didn't embezzle and all that. It's all fake. They will pay back. Some of them normally, even when I'm talking to them, I give them examples of some very, very rich people who at the end of the day, they get imbecile children because they have denied people when they are in offices some of the benefit that people should get. Like when they ask them to do road, they will go and do it very bad. We saw one on the internet that there was no iron, nothing. Such kind of thing, we normally show them example that no matter what you do, no matter how you hide it, it will come out one day. And we took them to ICPC. I'm talking now. They were proud to see my children in ICPC and EFCC. And they put them in their magazine because they asked good questions. The children spoke, and they were really happy the way they conducted themselves.
The point is, we should set a good example, and
Yes.
then always, tell them
reminding them.
real
Don't relent in your effort, because this is a growing time. Some of them are their poverty age. They need this to bring them up so that they will not be carried away. And most of the things they need to know, we allow the parent to tell them. Don't allow them to be told by their friends. They will do the negative one.
Now, what is your opinion about the need to regulate the use of social media? Because some people are saying that if you regulate the use of social media, there's a likelihood that you will stifle, freedom of speech.
Look, this freedom of speech, is there any freedom of speech even around now? There is no. Let us not overflog issue. Let us not deceive ourselves. We need regulation. We need regulation. Government should intervene. Churches, mosques, they should also try to preach well to the children, not about money, on how to spend money, but how to find money. Struggle to make sure that you make the best use of the talent God has given you. Everybody come to this world with skills. It is when it is developed that you actualize your dreams. So we should not believe because this has gotten money or this is doing. No. We should teach them the right thing. These children are under our care as God has given and entrusted them to us. We have to do our duty. If we refuse to do it, we will be answerable to God. It's not because you are best or good. Okay. So some of these things, it is government, the people, the community, the environment, the teachers, parents, everybody will have to work clockwisely to make sure that we regulate this. And when we work in tandem, in group, as a team, it will work and we will actualize it.
Definitely, because that's the whole essence of this program. We're working in group. You as a parent, you as a teacher, you as a proprietor of a school, and we're glad we've actually been able to listen to you. We hope that a lot of changes will occur at the end of the day. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I will be speaking with Dr. Mariam Jumai Bello Yassim, the proprietress of Hamizak Montessori Academic Group of Schools, and she's a whole lot of other things, including the Yeye Bashara of our kingdom. You have so many titles, and lately a newspaper, said that women should be allowed to become
Obas
and
Emirs as well.
Okay, so if you were going to be an Oba or Igwe, what would be your title? Just
my title, I will take the same title like a man.
Okay.
I can do it better.
So what would be the title? The words of which land?
The Kabiesi or the emir of my village. I don't want to shake in my chief for now. If I had to mention his name, he might be shaking. So I'm warming up to take over the seat.
All right, so Kabiesi, Dr. Miriam Jumai Bello Yusuf. It's been nice having you on the show.
Yes,
we'll take a break now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Weekend Deal showing on the largest TV network in Africa. Now, yes, we've been talking about the impact of social media on children, and then we have different dimensions to that. So, but now we're looking at social media as a double-edged sword, and this is put together by Dayola.
Social media is a big part of many young people's social and creative lives. Children and teenagers use social media to have fun, make and maintain friendships, share interests and explore identities, develop relationships with family and friends. Social media can also connect teenagers to online global communities based on shared interests. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, except when it goes overboard.
Parents, we need to first have a rapport. You can't start talking to a child without getting the trust of the child. And every child out there wants to explore. There's this curiosity to know what is happening. So the first thing you want to do is you have to be a student of what you want to teach. So first, what do you know about technology, social media as a parent? Because you still have some parents who want to parent the way they were parented. So, and that's not what we have in this age. So first, you want to be tech savvy, tech friendly as a parent. You want to know a lot about what is happening around you, so as to be able to guide your children.
There are so many benefits for children while using social media, such as educational tools, information sharing, news updates, global exposure, research tools, distance learning opportunities, and web engagement. However, social media also has its own risk if not used properly, channeled, and monitored. It can induce exposure to inappropriate contents, mean and aggressive, violent, or sexual content or images.
They have friends that have access to some of those pages on social media. They tell them, they meet, I found this on net, so why don't you try it too? So most of them, they do those things without the knowledge of their parents. So now it is what you are aware of that you curb. If you don't know that your children have access to those sites on social media, you may not know that your children have been putting hands into some things until they show some characters that show the influence of those sites they've been visiting on social media.
Most social media apps require users to be at least 13 years old. But recently, we have children under 13 years who are super active on social media apps, especially with the outbreak of COVID-19 that forced children out of physical classrooms to online classes.
No matter how much you want to monitor them, you will not be able to if they don't have good character, good morals. And then emulation, they are going to emulate you. So you need to reduce their time. The time they use the social media, you have to restrict the time. And that has to start with you as a parent. You have to restrict the number of hours you spend in a day. They emulate, they see what you do, and you're trying to tell them not to do such things. I feel that will not work for you.
A child should be thoroughly guided before and during the use of social media. Parents must ensure that children are old enough to use and join social media. Have an open and honest conversation with them and tell them exactly what social media is all about. We must understand that the usage should be limited and monitored as well.
I was listening to that, and I got particularly intrigued by what the respondent there said. He said the children will emulate us. You know, whatever we do, they try to do the same. Some parents go to bed and their phones are on their hand. You know, 10 o'clock, 11, 12, they are tweeting, they are, doing one thing or the other on the social media. And you expect your child to actually go to bed and read or probably sleep. We children consistently, live by the examples we set.
Definitely. And you were sharing the story with me on how you managed when your kids were growing. I mean, maybe the viewer probably might want to know from your experience, because you say your children don't even,
a big deal.
If your phone rings,
they
don't
will not
pick.
touch it.
They'll just say, Mommy, your phone is ringing, or take your phone. These days, you don't see that.
So they never even owned a phone until when they went to the university. That's the truth. I insisted on it, yes. So if you want to do any research, you use the desktop. And if you needed to go out, maybe like the woman said, Nokia Touch is what I give to the chaperone if I'm not around. Otherwise, reach them via my phone. Their friends then used to say, how come if I want to send you WhatsApp, I send to your mommy's phone? And I always make them, feel that's the best thing that happened. Of course, it was the best thing. And that was how your access to phone was you passing your jam anyway. So let's move down to Port Harcourt, get to find out negative things that children consume. NTA Port Harcourt.
In our fast-paced world of today, the internet has opened new frontiers in the way we communicate. It has transcended distance and conquered space. Among the means of communication on the internet, social media has emerged as a strong communication tool. Its relevance and use has increased over the years and has become a permanent aspect of the society. The importance of social media in our growing and evolving world cannot be denied. It has become a great platform for businesses and communications. Talking with anyone, anywhere, anytime is just a tap away.
You can easily search for your friends on Twitter. You even see all these interesting posts there. Like, you see all these celebrities, you talk to them. Like, most of them, their account, they are real.
One of my cousins that got married through social media.
The current skill that every person needs now is networking, and social media brings up the opportunity to network, connect with people who you would otherwise have not been connected to. And one of the most another important part of social media is access to information.
Social media, to a great extent, has been proven to enhance communication. It is, however, pertinent to note that it also has negative effects on our social interaction. It presents us with a virtual world, holding back human physical interaction and hurting real relationships. The robust and interactive communication that face-to-face conversation has is lost with social media, since most of the communication happens through text, and it also lacks non-verbal cues. It has also been observed that when used obsessively or in excess, social media can have damaging effects on both the adults and children. Today, family meal time and get-together have been reduced. This, to a large extent, has affected how parents relate with their children. With parents always on their screens, the physical one-on-one talk, playing, and general conversations of the family is minimized. On the other hand, the children, especially the youths, resort to social media as a medium of escape. They would rather be with their friends virtually in a blind communication than interact with people in their physical space. Another dangerous trend is the emotional attachment of young people to social media. They rather share online some personal information they wouldn't normally say in person.
Human interaction is very good for psychological and social well-being. So it's very important to understand that while social media provides us that opportunity to mitigate the impact of distance, but it cannot overrule or overtake the need for that human interaction that people need.
It is a digital era we live in today. Social media is a great tool for one to be in tune with the time. However, people should be concerned and disciplined on time spent on social media in order to develop and maintain real-life relationships to have a more thrilling and fulfilling life.
Social media may play whatever it plays out to you. Ensure that you stick on with us here, because we'll always tell you the way it is. Tomorrow we'll be here again to do it again. Bye-bye for now.